Well, I can't promise you the humour that we've had or the in-depth strategy, because I think I need to take some tips from Peter later, hopefully get his details. But I can promise you, hopefully, an idea of who we are. I'm telling you who we are not because you want to join our business, but it'll give you an idea of the ego that sometimes happens or is created within a business. And for us, ego is king because we're media and advertising. But I'm part of GroupM. I'm the talent manager for GroupM. And we are part of WPP, the world's largest communication services group. We've got over, well, just under actually, 180,000 employees working in 3,000 offices in 111 countries. And this is the sort of speak that our people are saturated with every day. So they get this whole gravitas of who we are. We're the number one, we're the world's leader. All of these phrases keep on coming out. And I suppose what's happened is you lose sight of the fact that it's not all about us internally, it's about how we appear to the outside world. And my role over the last 2 years has been trying to change and take our talent force, and when I say talent force, I mean every single employee in our organisation, on a journey of how they engage with the outside world, as opposed to sing of the hype that we talk about in terms of volume, revenue and success. But we're huge. We've got an amazing track record to date. Apparently, you'd think people would be queuing around the doors to work in one of our offices, but that isn't the case, as I'm sure it isn't for many of you. I'm going to quickly show you how big we are. So that's some of the brands that you might be familiar with. I think there are some people in the room today that are WPP based. I don't know if that, I know they were meant to be. But we have an awful lot of companies and we're acquiring non-stop. And it's a great place to work because you feel as if you're part of a big entity. However, despite all of the fun things we do, and we do amazing things. So this week, for example, we've converted our offices, 2 of them, into an outdoor arena where we've got the summer inside. So we've got trees, we've got turf, we've got gravel everywhere. In terms of the people who are working there, you'd think it's amazing, but we don't talk about it externally. We just tell each other how great we are all the time. Bit of a buddy up, which is pointless, really, isn't it? But that's been the challenge. So these are the companies that my business I look after, Mediacom, Mindshare, Maxus and MEC. They're the 4 companies that I'd say would be classed as media investment businesses. And we trade for all of these brands globally, but some bigger brands that would be more resonant within the UK. Coca-Cola obviously is king, and the changing face of that brand and how they've engaged. But one of the things for us when I joined was, how do we get our perception altered from the outside world? Because this arrogance is actually quite dangerous, and I think as a brand it is in our right to feel, well, we are GroupM, we're the number 1 agency, we're the media investment firm of the year. Whatever it is and whatever title we get, we keep on hemming ourselves into that, but the reality is we cannot get people, the right people, in through our doors. So our business, when I talk to my CEO, I report directly into the CEO, and every time I see him, he says, what is this experience you're talking of? There's so much speak, isn't there, about the whole buzzword of the day, and I think candidate experience for us, well, it didn't exist, to be honest with you. I don't think it is a candidate experience. I think it's an employee experience. I think it's a people experience. And the hard part for us was we have great people in our organisation. We talk an amazing talk, and yet we sometimes have roles which take up to a year to fill. And last year, my team alone, so there are 3,000 employees within the UK that I look after. My team alone, we had 1,000 roles, of which only 500 were filled. And we work in that premise all the time. We're always looking for good people because you can't afford, as I'm sure you all will agree, to have bums on seats, because that doesn't actually make your EVP any stronger than it currently is. So we're looking for the right people, but it's hard to attract them because there are so many touch points. So there's my team, and we've got a team of 10. There's the hiring manager. There are the recruitment partners that we work with. You've got all of these different factors, and then you've got the board and the senior managers and the other people who get integrated into that hiring process. So my team might engage with them immediately via social media, via a phone call. Are we all resounding in the same voice? Is the voice there? And I hate this word, but basically, the experience is a journey. And for us, the challenge has been, what is an experience? Because that marketing speak is throughout our whole organisation. The companies that I mentioned to you, we've got so many companies that are branding, advertising, research. And everybody talks about an experience, but what does that really mean? And we've become a bit hemmed into the marketing speak as opposed to the reality. So for me, it was about drilling it down to our hiring managers that that experience means literally two things: a practical contact with something or someone, or an event or an occurrence. And that literally, this word experience is now a window, I suppose, through which we all talk about our brands. And is your window looking murky or clean? Ours is quite murky. I'm not standing here today saying we're the finished article, but the challenge for us has been, how do we get hiring managers to perceive themselves from the outside in as opposed from the inside out? And I think it's in our nature to always think about our world from our angle, and our market, the Generation Y, are so busy thinking, what's in it for me? And our minds are trying to catch up. And my board are a demographic that you mentioned. You know, they're a demographic of middle-aged men who are amazingly good at what they do, strong powerhouse decision makers, but do they get Generation Y? Are they touchy-feely? Do they get people in their core? And that's the part that's been a huge disconnect for us, which is a journey we're sadly still going on. But you only look at brands like Coca-Cola and you just think, how come, you know, when I was young, how come Coca-Cola for me was just a fizzy drink that my mum never allowed me to have? And as I've grown up, it's been a drink I've become addicted to and then I've walked away from. But it's everything else that it comes with, the whole Santa Claus experience. Christmas and Coca-Cola seem to be synonymous. And yet for us, with our business and all of those brands that we powerhouse recruit for, companies that we work with, we can't get the experience to resonate with every touch point. And I don't think we've delivered, you know, an output yet. What was interesting is when we're seeing all of the candidates coming through, whether it's through our supply chain or whether it's through our own efforts or through referrals, is how many people have cited that it's gone wrong. And this scared me. To think that 26% of people who go through the UK landscape for a role have had a bad experience is a big enough figure. But it was the 60% who never heard back from the company that I found really concerning. And can I say that was, they never heard back from the company, not after sending their CV, after having an interview. That's really concerning. And I have to take accountability and say, my business areas, we still have that because they're so fast-paced in their job and recruitment or talent attraction isn't their thing, that for them, they don't care about experience, they care about results. So we're trying to take it back from output to input. 43% found out during the interview that the role wasn't right for them, which again, you just think, oh my word. But then Generation Y aren't actively looking. We're having to engage people who are passive. I don't know if does everybody find that you all want passive candidates rather than actively seeking job seekers? We're all in the same boat, so it's not as if the market has changed. There are loads of people out there. There aren't the right people, and we're wondering why we can't get them in. 34% felt the person interviewing was a poor role model, and my team, we've got a team of 10. We get it right, I'd say 9 out of 10 times, hopefully. But there's that one time that we do get it wrong, and it most probably happens every 6 weeks or so. And my God, the effects are cataclysmic, and it scares the living daylights out of me. Because you never know where it ends and how long it can last for, so you're always looking at the damage limitation. So I've said about this is what I feel we're all like. We're all looking for the same person, but we're all looking at it from inside out as opposed to outside in. And until we start changing that mechanism of thinking, what do I look like as a brand, me as a person? You know, are you all on LinkedIn? Does your brand look amazing? Are you someone who people will go, yeah, I'd like to work there? And are your hiring managers of the same ilk? Because the challenge for us has been, how do we get the hiring managers to realise that talent is a team sport? A candidate experience is a team sport. Years ago, you could just go, I'm hiring, there's the job, get on with it, to the talent team. And all of a sudden, we're asking people to be the talent leaders, even if they're hiring managers, and add that onto their job, which is already busy. And unfortunately, there's no escaping it. It's what we've got to do. It's their personal brand. I love this quote, but I do feel that we as my business anyway, we are constantly talking about what we do, but we don't really advertise it as well as we think we do, because the way we think of advertising is, and maybe it's the same for all of us, is throwing an ad out there, making sure you've got your jobs up on your LinkedIn profile, doing your social media piece, all of that thing. But it's not about that anymore. And whilst we do the whole tick list, we advertise everywhere in our company. You know, we put it on our database, which is JobVite. They're here today, and which is great because it integrates with everything. And we go on LinkedIn. We've got great agencies that we work with. But now our consumers, our candidates, are way more than an advert. They want everything. They want to feel how it affects their life. Do you add value to them? Are you a one-dimensional entity of an advert, or are you cognizant to a multi-dimensional experience? And that's so hard to be everything to everyone. So we're sort of setting ourselves up for failure, I think. Oh, sorry, I'm going back, not forward. So some ideas of how we've got it right, or how we are getting it right, I'll say. So we still don't always get it perfect. But providing clear job specs, the majority of we get, since January, we've had 170 roles within my organisation. And I'm amazed. They go, I'm hiring, I'm desperate. You don't get a job spec. You're like, oh, okay, so how desperate is the search? Well, it is desperate, I just need you to get on with it. And they don't give a voice to the role to get to market. So there's no passion or energy or inspiration engaged into that process. So for us, that's been vital. And in the last year or so, we've seen a massive change in getting a punchier job spec that means something rather than a tick list of, I want that, I want that. It's all about, what they want. What is it we're giving? Have an optimised mobile vacancy search. I'm sure you all have that, hopefully, but I'm amazed how many companies still don't have something that is mobile centric, because most Generation Ys are all about the technology. Have a relationship with your audience before you try and secure them. I see it all the time within our own group because we're global. We've got lots of things to contend with. So we've got the brand in the UK, but we're also EMEA, we're also global. We've got different brands who've got different voices. So we have to think about how our voice works for each brand, but we also have a group portfolio as well. So are you engaging with the audience? You're just whapping jobs out and hoping that for some reason it might hit somewhere. Content is king. So share, engage, inspire, and converse with your marketplace. Don't wait to be looking for a candidate. Give them something worth wanting to follow you. Respond to your applications and give them timeframes. The applications we get roughly 400 applications a week. A large portion of those are not relevant, but every single person has a response. When they're direct, when they're through agencies, it tends to be harder, and that's the part, again, which dissipates your whole brand and dissipates the candidate experience. And then create trust, knowledge, respect, and interest. Do what you say you will. And I think in the past, candidate management or talent management, we've had this power struggle. We think we're the client, we're important. Suppliers, get on with it, go and deliver. And it's been hard for us to try and make sure we create a partnered entity, but because without our supply chain, without our partners, we can't deliver the right solution. We're too big an organisation to think we can do all of this on our own right now. And therefore, we can't afford to have that power struggle. But also, we can't have the power struggle when the candidate comes in for an interview. And that's exactly what we're doing here. So we're trying to get what I call the multifaceted face of engagement. How we engage people, the human side, how we entertain them. Are we giving them tidbits of information that just make them think, yeah, actually, that could be me. I can't believe they shared that piece. It's not relevant for a job. It's not relevant for trying to pull them into our business. It's just something that we know will resonate with their core choices. How do we educate them? Do we give them things that are of value? And do we infuse them? Is our branding enough to satisfy them and keep them long term? And it was so interesting to hear about the journey of a career, because when you look at what we've tried to do for years in our organisation, is we look at mobility now. We've never looked at mobility before. People leave and we not ruin their brand, but in the past people leave and it can hurt your business and therefore you feel negative about it. For me, people leaving is great because you've got to wonder, where do they go next and how are you articulated as a brand in their next journey? So this is a big piece for us, and we're by no means finished. So we're in the middle part, I'd say, of literally just, we're here when we need to be literally here, around the outside. And I don't think we'll be there for 3 to 4 years, because when you've got 3,000 employees, getting them on that journey is like nudging the Titanic. But we're getting there. So what, how, who, when, and why? Basically, for us, this is the process that we look at. And it's only, my team are only looking at how we attract, how we get them in, how we onboard. How are we sourcing them? Where are you looking? Are you actually looking, or do you just do a quick LinkedIn search and get on with it? Are you using external sources? Are you looking hot to your marketplace? Are you engaging? And are you attractive to a company? Would you show people a long-term career progression? Do the hiring managers in your organisation have a LinkedIn profile that makes people salivate? Would they therefore be the ambassador for your brand? And then how do they apply? When they're applying, are they getting a response? Are they actually being visibly articulated to the dream that is your brand? And do you assess them? And if you assess them, how are you assessing them? Really interesting this week, I had a headhunt call and I was shocked at how 80s it was. But I really respected the fact that it was done in that way. And I still think maybe my team do that. You know, you call up and you go, tell me about you. What are you doing? There's no conversation, there's no and we need to go back to, this isn't an interview. We don't interview people anymore. We engage and we try and inspire them to understand that it's a coffee. And I hope that if we meet them, that a year, 2 years down the line, there's that engagement piece that will still speak of honesty, trust and reliability. And then how we offer them the job. So many companies, I think, offer under market value or under budget because they think negotiation is king. And I think we're seeing a generation that don't do negotiation. You offer them what they're worth because they are worth that money and therefore you need to justify their value. And as a talent team in our organisation, we're there to save money, yes, but we're there to make sure that our talent feel invested from day one. And sometimes we fail because we're a buying and planning business. It's our job to negotiate. And we can't help but do that, but Generation Y tend to want to see their value up front and centre. And that's something we're working towards quite heavily. I'm not going to touch onboarding because I'd insult myself because you did such a good job. I keep on going backwards, not forwards. I'm sorry, guys. So one of the journeys we've done, I wasn't going to show you this in case you thought, oh, actually, this is a bit cheesy. But our hiring managers are the cement that makes the hiring process work for us. And one of the things I did when I joined was look at how they were hiring and see if there were themes. And the themes were Simon Cowell. If I could show you the clip that I would normally show, it's brilliant because he judges, critiques, and what we're trying to move from that to coach and develop. Because Will.i.am, you'll see him, I know it's even the format. If you think of two programs, you've got X Factor and then you've got The Voice. Even the format has changed. And I use this analogy with all of our hiring managers, and we've now gone through 400 hiring managers so far. There's another 6, I believe, to go through within our organisation. We want them to try and understand that the market has changed and they therefore have to adapt to the current climate. We've gone from being able to commoditise people. Gone are the days where you see someone, you go, yes, they're going to add value to my business. They're going to make me shine. You know, we've got people now who want to see us as that star and them to be able to become like us. So we've got to be able to coach and develop people. And in our market, I think there's about 3,500 people in the UK who do the jobs that we are working for, apparently, according to the marketing figures that we've got in the UK. We've got 1,700 of those employees doing those roles, so we've not got a big pool to swim in. Therefore, you've got to adapt your technique in order to find the right people. So going from capitalising on others' talents to investing in potential, expecting to be entertained as an interviewer to creating that entertainment, from observer to participator, from lead and dictate to engage and inspire, from tell to show, and from critique to create. This journey is a crippler for many people. I think you could perceive it as fluffy, totally your shout to do that, but we've got a board of people who have only ever hired on competency-based frameworks. And as far as I'm concerned, and our organisation has seen, you can hire, can they do the job? Tick. Are they the values and the DNA piece that that organisation needs? No. And that's where our attraction, retention, and development piece has to be far more robust. So, attraction. What you feel now is what you're going to attract. Our talent managers, our hiring managers are constantly on the go. Busy is an understatement. It's not abnormal to work a 70 to a 90-hour week in our organisation. So they're feeling on the hop all the time. And therefore what we ask all of our staff is to think, how are you as an attraction tool? How are you feeling? Because how you feel in that interview is exactly what that candidate will leave feeling about you. So changing their mind frame has been king. Am I on time? Perfect, I'll quickly whiz through. Once you've got them, whether you've got them as employees or whether you've got them as engaged people for your pool of future pipeline talent, how are you going to keep their attention? What are you going to give them then? So think about perhaps, you know, what strategies can you put in place to make sure that those candidates or potential candidates are always on your radar and you're giving them tidbits of information through LinkedIn, social media, Twitter, or even just the phone calls that happen to keep you going. And then who's ambassadoring your brand? That's the hardest part for us. Every contact that someone has with your organisation is a contact that is potential PR opportunity. And do we have the best ambassadors in our organisation? Not yet. We're hoping that the training and development will help get them there. But I'd say our ambassadors, we maybe have, well, I can't give a figure, but we've got 40 people in total across the whole group who want to champion talent, which isn't that much when you think 40 people within a 3,000 strong organisation. And this is something I say to everybody in our organisation. It's the small things that count. And if you think you're too big for the small things to change your talent and candidate experience, then you're most probably too small for the big jobs or the big talent pieces that land on your lap. It's everything that matters, sadly. The small things, the smile, the openness, the lack of judgment, the art of listening, the eye contact, the genuine I give a damn, and the right choice of words. And all of those things add up to make an amazing experience. Thank you.